Nobody expected the wedding to end before the vows were even completed. More than 500 guests had gathered inside one of the most expensive hotel ballrooms in the city to watch Marcus Lawson marry the woman he called the love of his life. The wedding alone reportedly cost more than $200,000. Politicians, business owners, influencers, and family friends filled the room. Everything about the ceremony looked perfect. And for Marcus, that day was supposed to be the beginning of the future he had spent years building. He stood at the altar smiling as Elena slowly walked toward him in a custom designer gown that had taken nearly 6 months to create. Guests later said Elena looked beautiful, but something about her expression felt wrong. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't emotional. She looked terrified. At first, nobody thought much about it. Weddings were emotional. Stress was normal. But then small things started happening. Elena's hands trembled while holding her bouquet. Her breathing became uneven. She kept looking toward the entrance of the ballroom instead of at Marcus. Even when the officiant joked during the ceremony, she barely reacted. Marcus noticed it immediately. But like most people deeply in love, he convinced himself everything was fine. Then came the vows. The officiant turned toward Elena and asked if she took Marcus Lawson to be her husband. Elena opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Her body suddenly went weak. She grabbed the altar table for support before collapsing directly onto the floor in front of hundreds of guests. The ballroom exploded into panic. People screamed. Chairs moved. Guests rushed forward. Marcus immediately dropped beside her, calling her name over and over while trying to keep her conscious. Elena looked pale and barely responsive. Within minutes, paramedics entered the ballroom and pushed everyone back. Marcus refused to leave Elena's side until one EMT pulled him aside and quietly asked him a question that completely changed his life. "Sir, how long has your fiancée been pregnant?" Marcus stared at the man in silence. At first, he thought he heard him wrong. Pregnant? That wasn't possible. Marcus had spent the last 3 months overseas handling a major business contract for his father's company. He had barely been home. And suddenly, while the entire ballroom stood frozen behind him, Marcus realized the woman he was about to marry had been hiding something that could destroy everything. But what Marcus still didn't know was that the pregnancy itself was only the beginning of the betrayal. Because over the next several days, he would discover hidden messages, secret payments, late-night visits, and a DNA result that would destroy his trust in everyone closest to him. And by the time the truth finally surfaced, Marcus would no longer recognize his own life.
If you want to uncover more chilling true crime stories and see justice exposed, subscribe to Crime Vaults as we bring light to the darkest true crime cases and never miss the secrets hidden in plain sight.
For years, Marcus and Elena looked like the perfect couple. Their relationship had become popular online long before the engagement happened. Friends described them as balanced. Marcus was intense, disciplined, and heavily focused on business. Elena was quieter, calmer, and far more emotionally grounded. People believed she softened him. Marcus came from wealth. His father, Richard Lawson, owned one of the largest real estate development firms in the state. The Lawson name carried power, influence, and expectations. Elena came from a much simpler background, but Marcus never cared about that. According to friends close to the couple, Marcus was deeply obsessed with her from the beginning. He trusted her completely. That trust became important later. About 3 months before the wedding, Marcus accepted an international business contract that would nearly double the company's annual revenue. It was the biggest opportunity of his career. But taking the contract meant leaving Elena behind during the final months of wedding preparation. Marcus hated leaving, but Elena insisted everything would be fine. And during that time, there was one person Marcus trusted to help take care of her while he was gone. His best friend, Leo. Marcus and Leo had known each other since childhood. They built businesses together. They traveled together. Leo wasn't just a friend to Marcus. He was family. That was why none of the warning signs seemed suspicious at first. Elena started feeling sick almost constantly. She stopped drinking wine during dinner. She claimed certain foods made her nauseous. At the rehearsal dinner, guests noticed she avoided alcohol completely. Whenever someone jokingly asked if she was pregnant, Elena would laugh nervously and quickly change the subject. Marcus noticed all of it, but he ignored it because he trusted her. And because sometimes the biggest lies survive not because they are hidden well, but because the people being lied to never imagine they need to look for them. Then Marcus started remembering other strange details. Whenever he called Elena late at night, Leo often seemed to already be with her. Leo constantly updated Marcus about Elena's health before Elena even mentioned anything herself. At the time, Marcus thought his friend was simply being supportive. But after hearing the EMT's question at the wedding, those memories suddenly became disturbing. And once suspicion entered Marcus's mind, everything started looking different. After Elena was taken to the hospital, Marcus stayed beside her for hours demanding answers. But Elena refused to explain anything clearly. Every time Marcus asked who the father was, Elena started crying. Then she repeated the same sentence over and over again. It's complicated. That answer only made Marcus angrier, because there was nothing complicated about it. Either she betrayed him or she didn't. And if she did, Marcus needed to know with who. Late that night, after Elena finally fell asleep, Marcus returned to their house alone. For the first time since their relationship began, he opened her laptop and searched through her deleted messages. What he found immediately shattered him. Hundreds of deleted conversations, calls erased from her history, entire message threads removed. But one name appeared more than anyone else. Leo. Marcus felt sick. At first, he tried convincing himself there had to be another explanation. But then he noticed the timestamps. Most of the calls happened after midnight. Some lasted for hours. Then Marcus accessed the home security system connected to the property. What he saw completely changed him. At 2:13 in the morning, Leo appeared leaving Marcus's house. Then, again, another night. And another. Always late. Always after Marcus had already left the country. Marcus replayed the footage over and over again, hoping he had misunderstood something. But deep down, he already knew why it hurt so badly. Because Leo wasn't just another man. Leo was the one person Marcus trusted more than anyone else in his life. The betrayal felt personal in a way Marcus couldn't explain. It wasn't only about Elena anymore. It was about humiliation, about loyalty, about realizing the people closest to you may have been laughing behind your back while pretending to love you. Marcus barely slept that night. And by morning, he had already decided he was going to confront Leo directly. But before he got the chance, another discovery changed the entire investigation. The next morning, Marcus began reviewing wedding expenses to see how much damage needed to be controlled after the canceled ceremony. That was when he noticed something strange. Several private payments had been transferred into Elena's account over the last 2 months. The sender was his father, Richard Lawson. At first, Marcus assumed the money was related to the wedding. But the payment descriptions didn't make sense. Consultation, treatment, follow-up. Marcus immediately froze. Then he traced the payments to a private medical clinic outside the city. Suddenly, the situation became even darker. Because Marcus began remembering strange interactions between Elena and his father during the months leading up to the wedding. Richard constantly defended Elena whenever Marcus questioned her behavior. He privately paid for expensive upgrades to the wedding Elena never asked Marcus about. Marcus's mother often looked uncomfortable whenever Elena and Richard were alone together. And during the wedding collapse itself, Richard had remained unusually calm. Too calm. Marcus hated himself for even considering it. But once suspicion entered his mind, he couldn't stop it anymore. What if the betrayal wasn't coming from his best friend? What if it was coming from inside his own family? That thought nearly destroyed him. Later that evening, Marcus confronted his father privately inside his office. At first, Richard denied everything. He claimed the payments were simply to protect the family from embarrassment. But when Marcus demanded a full explanation, Richard refused to answer directly. And that silence made Marcus even more suspicious. Because innocent people usually defend themselves clearly, but guilty people hide behind vague explanations. Marcus left the office feeling physically sick. Now he no longer trusted Elena. He no longer trusted Leo. And worst of all, he no longer trusted his own father. But the truth Marcus was searching for still hadn't surfaced. Because the real father was someone nobody expected. By that point, Marcus stopped believing anyone around him. Every conversation felt fake. Every explanation sounded rehearsed. So Marcus made one final decision. He secretly arranged a prenatal DNA test. Officially, it was explained as necessary medical testing connected to Elena's condition. But Marcus had only one goal. He wanted the truth. Days passed while everyone waited for the results. During that time, the wedding cancellation spread online rapidly. Rumors exploded across social media. Some people blamed Elena. Others blamed Marcus for abandoning her publicly. Meanwhile, Elena remained almost completely silent. And somehow, her silence became even more disturbing than the lies. Then finally, the DNA results arrived. Marcus opened the envelope alone. And within seconds, his entire investigation collapsed. Leo was not the father. Richard Lawson was not the father. The real father was Daniel Mercer, Marcus's biggest business rival. The same man who had spent years competing against the Lawson family company. The same man who publicly acted friendly toward Marcus, while secretly trying to destroy his family's business reputation. Marcus couldn't breathe. Because suddenly everything made sense. Elena hadn't only betrayed him emotionally. She had connected herself to the one man capable of destroying Marcus professionally, financially, and personally all at once. And according to later reports, Elena had been seeing Daniel secretly for nearly 5 months before the wedding. Marcus sat alone staring at the results for nearly an hour. Not crying, not screaming, just completely empty. Because some betrayals hurt so deeply that anger disappears completely. And in that moment, Marcus decided he wasn't going to confront Elena privately. He wanted everyone to see the truth the same way he had, publicly. Several days after Elena was discharged from the hospital, both families organized a private welcome home gathering. No reporters were invited. No outsiders allowed. Only close friends and family attended. Most people believed Marcus had finally calmed down. Some even thought he planned to forgive Elena and move forward quietly. But Marcus had already made another decision. Halfway through the evening, the lights inside the room suddenly dimmed. A large projector screen turned on near the center of the gathering. At first, guests smiled, assuming Marcus had prepared a slideshow of wedding memories. Instead, the DNA results appeared on the screen. The entire room went silent. Then chaos exploded almost instantly. Elena immediately burst into tears. Marcus's mother started screaming. Leo looked completely shocked. Richard Lawson stood frozen staring at the screen while guests demanded explanations. But Marcus never raised his voice once. He simply sat there calmly while every lie surrounding his life collapsed in front of everyone. Some family members begged him to turn the screen off. Others accused Elena of destroying the family. But Marcus no longer cared. Because by then, something inside him had already broken permanently. According to one guest later present that night, the room felt less like a family gathering and more like watching an entire bloodline destroy itself in real time. By the end of the night, Elena left through a back exit, surrounded by relatives, while Marcus remained alone inside the empty room. And just like that, the wedding, the relationship, the friendships, and the trust Marcus spent years building all disappeared within days. Marcus eventually walked away from the family company entirely. Leo vanished from public life shortly afterward. And Elena deleted every trace of herself from social media within weeks. But years later, people still debate the same question. Did Marcus do the right thing by exposing the truth publicly? Or did revenge destroy whatever humanity he had left? Because sometimes the truth doesn't heal people. Sometimes it ruins everyone involved forever.
If you want to uncover more chilling true crime stories and see justice exposed, subscribe to Crime Vaults as we bring light to the darkest true crime cases and never miss the secrets hidden in plain sight.